You want Philly, Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's easy to sum it up. We're talking about practice.
Because it's about as casual as it gets. What's the problem now?
That's a clown question, bro.
I think we ought to send a beat in at least.
World champions!
Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Philadelphia, looking as only you can look. Woo!
Here we go, here we go.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Philly podcast. As always, I am Eric Perugini, here with my co-host Chris Lahiff, and we are here discussing the Philadelphia Eagles' Week 1 victory over the not-so-lowly Detroit Lions. So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about what we observed during the game. Defense, offense, Jalen Hurts, running back, and we'll go from there. But Chris, happy first football show of the season, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, it sure does, my friend. Sure does.
It's overreaction Tuesday, as I like to call it.
Very true.
Which it's amazing. Like I'm gonna dive right into it. Like this guy is not allowed to be criticized. Like I don't get it. Like I truly don't. Like if he's I know we scored 31 points, and I know Sirianni and the coaching staff took their foot off the pedal, but unfortunately the tendencies were there, and like it's only the Lions, and the Lions apparently are the media darling because of Hard Knocks, because the way they were talking about them was like they were the 85 Bears and the greatest show on turf.
Well, look, that's what happens when you get the spotlight of Hard Knocks now. I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, so what did you take away from the game? Now, I did not get to see the first quarter of the game, and I heard that's when the Eagles looked to be at their slowest, the most rusty, as I guess you could say. What was your take from the game?
Yeah, it was the first quarter. There's still some kinks to figure out in the offensive line. These guys haven't played together. Like
right.
They've practiced together, but they haven't played in real time. The offensive line looked a little good. It had their moments, but all in all, like they scored all their points. I think it was like the second and fourth quarter was a lot of their points were scored. Listen, they scored 31 points on offense. And we're sitting here and we're breaking down the 31 points, which it's a good thing that we're breaking it down because of the poor not that it was poor play, but the Eagles don't have AJ Brown. This is a completely different game. Completely
Correct.
different. That's why AJ Brown was brought here. And I know it's the old age saying, well, the what ifs and the what nots, and I get it. I get it. But like AJ Brown bailed him out a lot. And he had some good throws in tight windows. But some of the, like, if that bomb that he threw to AJ Brown, any other receiver that's intercepted on the team.
Gotcha.
Right? I am I wrong?
No, I mean, when I saw that pass, I mean, that was like it's the only one I keep seeing, to be quite honest with you. So, to me, that I'm taking that as the highlight of his passing game, of Jalen Hurts' game, was for that pass to AJ Brown. That was like the highlight of all of his passes, apparently.
Yeah.
So from watching the rest of the game, What I took away from it with Jalen Hurts was I saw the same quarterback as last year, only now he has a true number one wide receiver. And there were still some deficiencies in his game, which are going to be overlooked by the game that A.J. Brown had. Now, and that's going to happen. There's still some deficiencies that are being overlooked because they ultimately won the game in general. But, I mean, focusing on who the meat and bones and the success of the season rides on is Jalen Hurts. I'm going to say, like, I still have the jury out on him because I didn't see anything new. I really didn't. I did see a lot of the same thing. Like he took off to running. Now, of course, it could be because the line was not at their best, and they did break down a few times, and he had to get himself out of there. But there were other times where it was the same Jalen Hurts, and one read, it's not there, he's taken off. So my concern is if he hasn't changed, if he hasn't figured out how to read a defense, or his timing and accuracy hasn't gotten better and taken that progression, the next step. What he is now, I mean, he is what he is. He's effective. He can win you games. My question is he enough to actually, that style of play by a quarterback, specifically him, is that going to be enough to say win you a Super Bowl, whether he's an Eagle next year or not? Like his gameplay all around, is it good enough to become a Super Bowl champion as a starting quarterback? Because I'm starting to get that what we have is what we get. What we see is what we get with him, and it's exciting football. There were many plays that I saw where he did get out of trouble, and oh, my dog came in. I didn't know if anyone noticed my door phantomly opening up behind me. She came in and she's laying down behind me now. Well, I guess we have another show co-host. Yeah, I mean, so that's my question now. If this is what he is it good enough? And now that he has an actual true number one wide receiver, is that all he was missing, basically?
You can't throw every down to A.J. Brown.
That is true.
Like, I know he had 155 yards. I know he had the best Eagles debut by a wide receiver. Like, you can't do it. Like this is not college,
right?
Where you focus in on your number one receiver. Like this isn't going to work. It's, to quote you, as you said earlier, there's a lot of dick eating going on with him. Like we're finding reasons to not bash this guy. Like, good quarterbacks are supposed to be good on fourth down or third down.
Correct.
Like, they're supposed to be.
Right.
Like, that's what good quarterbacks do. That's what Super Bowl winning quarterbacks do. That's what playoff winning quarterbacks do. Like, I just wish social media was around the time of the Tom Brady era. Like, with all the stats and everything that are around, because it's bananas that, like, why we're trying to find the love for this guy and not rip him. And you got ESP, who was defending Jalen Hurts, and you got the fans who are getting mad at John Marks because he's questioning the coach. He's questioning the quarterback. You gave up 35 points on defense to Detroit, and you kind of like struggled in the beginning in the first quarter, and then towards the end of the game, Miles Sanders doesn't bounce out to the left on that 3rd and 2. This could be a completely different conversation.
Yes, it could. Absolutely could.
And it'll be, well, Jalen Rager's not here to blame him anymore for drop touchdowns. Who would we blame next? Would it be Devontae Smith? Would it be Quez Watkins? Like, he didn't look like why was Devontae Smith not targeted? Like,
Well, actually, Devontae Smith, I was wrong in that stat that I showed you. He was targeted. He did have 2 catches, but they were called back due to penalties. So that negated his whole his day. But still 2 targets.
he had 2 targets and 0 catches.
Yeah, 0 catches, 2 targets, 0 catches, no yards. Which leads me to believe that Monday night they're probably going to try and force feed him into the game early as soon as possible, just to get his feet wet, get that taste of some success.
Like, Dallas Goedert only had 4 targets. Like, we gotta spread the ball around, guys.
Well, see that's the other thing that I was going to say. Is the way Jalen Hurts is playing, like how he with running, like I have no problem with him, getting out of trouble or extending a play or making a play happen. But sooner or later, that's going to get him in trouble. Sooner or later, someone's going to catch up to him, and that's what I'm mostly afraid of, because I want this guy to succeed, and because he wasn't a first-round pick, he doesn't have that 5th-year option, and the Eagles can't extend him until after the season. So it gives you an entire year, again, with now 25 starts under his belt, to evaluate and see what we get. And I'm just I'm not concerned, but I haven't, nothing tipped my hand in another, more of a favor for Jalen Hurts. I'm still kind of in the middle, like where I was at the end of last season. I'm still there in the middle.
I don't know. Like, this is going to be a different. Minnesota's going to be a different animal.
Yeah,
they got a good defense. Obviously they have a good. They have a great wide receiver in Jalen Reagor, and they have an okay wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. So it's
Wait, did you say an okay wide receiver in Justin Jefferson?
And a great receiver in Jalen Reagor.
You bastard.
I try. But yeah, it's DeAndre Swift ran for. No, I think he had like 170 total scrimmage yards, which is phenomenal.
He was amazing.
But so now we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna talk about the defense. Nakobe Dean played two snaps. Fine, whatever. I get it. Like, he's a rookie. You got Hassan Reddick back there. You got Kazir White. You got TJ Edwards. That's perfectly fine. Jordan Davis, it makes no sense. He was on the field for 22 snaps, and the run game was 2.9 yards a carry. When he was off the field, it was 10 yards a carry. 10 goddamn yards.
Yeah, that was crazy.
How the hell Jonathan Gannon gets interviewed for head coaching gigs, whatever you want to call it, is amazing. Absolutely. He must be a great interviewer.
I mean, he literally was between Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis, how he missed on what was a run play, because Fletcher Cox was getting owned almost the entire game. Every time I saw, he was getting destroyed. And I don't know, what do you do with that? You know what I mean? He's here in a 1-year deal. He's most likely gone after this year, and Jordan Davis will slide in. He'll take over. But man, like you just said, that stat, that's a difference maker in the trenches with the run game. That really is. When he was not in the game, they were giving up 10 yards. That's insane.
That's I can't even make that stat up.
Yeah, that's just absolutely crazy. That really was. By the way, this is the Philly podcast presented by SixPackCoverage.com. I forgot to plug in the beginning of the show. Sorry. And by La Terrain Watches and the Monkey'sUncle.net. We're here talking Philadelphia Eagles. season opener game win over the Detroit Lions. Talking about Jordan Davis and the defensive line.
Hold on, we're
Yeah,
gonna go to commercial real quick. Then we'll get
okay.
back.
They say every watch tells a story. Family. Moments. Lifetimes. With La Touraine, this is a watch that spans generations, not just from where it came from, but for where it will go. Knowing one of these, having one of these, is what being a professional, being casual, and being you is all about. From our family to yours, La Touraine.
I love that commercial. Gives us time to reset real quick. So, with that being said, so we're talking about that on the defensive end of defensive line of the game. Did you hear the quote from Gannon when he was asked about his personnel for the game? He actually said, which makes me wonder about where Sirianni falls in this hierarchy for the Eagles. Gannon said, when he was going over the game plan and personnel with Howie Roseman before the game on what he was going to run during the game for a scheme. What? Why is Howie Roseman involved in the personnel for the game?
You say that makes me want to drink.
Yeah, I heard that today, and that blew my mind. Like, why isn't Sirianni making the final decision on who is active for both sides for the game?
Or call me.
Or call you. I mean, that blew my mind. Like, now we all know Doug was kind of a yes guy, and we all know Sirianni was handpicked. He's not a threat to anybody. He's just there to be the rah-rah guy, loves talking ball, talking about planting flowers and stuff. But how is your general manager making that sounds something like what Jerry Jones would be doing. Like just meddling and getting in the middle of stuff. And I really don't want to look at Howie in a bad light, considering the offseason that he's had. And now he's helping or having the final say of who is active for game day.
Where did you hear that from? Because I didn't hear it.
It was on. The clip was played today on the Best Damn Show Ever on my ride home from work from the Fanatic. They had I forget who they had on, a beat writer for the Eagles, or covering the Eagles, and they played that 10-second clip, and they were like, "What do you make of this?" And he was like, "That's kind of concerning."
It's very concerning.
Yeah, like I don't understand why he would have say in the overall personnel. I mean, yeah, you sign them, you draft them, you hire them, but he shouldn't be basically saying, okay, well, because of this personnel, this is the scheme you have to run. I don't like that one bit.
No, I'm with you. Absolutely. Like, I love Howie, but he's got to let the football guys be football guys.
Exactly. And, but in a way, I kind of wasn't surprised to hear that from Gannon, because, I mean, we've all heard before that when they hired Chip Kelly and they threw Howie to the other side of the building, literally when he came back after they got rid of Chip Kelly, it's been said that he has this, he's trying to prove himself to everybody in all aspects of operation. I think that's the wrong.
But he brought a Super Bowl to the city. He doesn't need to prove anything.
I don't know, man. That's why I'm kind of concerned to hear that he's getting in the middle of personnel decisions on game day. I mean, I can understand if somebody's hurt and like, okay, let's not play him today and say here, but to actively force your defensive coordinator's hand into what kind of scheme he's going to run because you're telling him who's playing, that's an issue to me.
It's an issue to everybody. It shouldn't just be an issue with. Oh, I need a drink.
You are drinking.
I need another one.
I should have had one. I can
So I just we we'll swing back a little bit, but just want to know how my Dallas fans are feeling today. This was them Sunday night. Here, I got a video. just want to check in on them, see how they're doing. Phillies won, by the way, so that's 4 in a row for them.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, just checking in on those Dallas fans, making sure nobody was drinking bleach or jumping out a window.
Look, in all honesty, like, I don't like to see anybody get hurt, but the fact that happened in their first game to Dak, that kind of, other than Washington, that kind of holds the door wide open for the Eagles. Now, Jerry Jones said today he expects, because Dak had surgery today on his thumb, he said he expects him to miss 4 weeks.
And we saw how Russell Wilson was when he broke his thumb last year, and how bad he was.
Right. He like, for the first time in his career, he was actually a terrible quarterback. And
so the age-old question is, can Dak now be considered injury-prone? He got hurt last year. He hurt his leg 2 years ago, and now he hurt his thumb.
He's missing significant time for each injury. So, he has to get labeled that. Unfortunately, he does. But, he's missing significant time. It's a different injury-prone label for me than people would say about Carson Wentz. Like, Carson Wentz missed, I think it was like a total of 8 games while he was an Eagle in 4 years? Or I think that's what it was. 16,
17, 18, 19, 20. 5 years.
Yeah, I think he missed under 10 games. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. It was the timing of his injuries that were
the most inopportune times ever.
Yeah, absolutely. But Dak has missed significant time during the season. It wasn't like inopportune. Any time you miss is bad, but it wasn't coming down to a race here, a race there, or playoffs. Like, this guy's legit just missing time during the most critical parts of the season, the beginning, middle, and end. It's like he's missing time. That to me is injury prone. Like, especially when I think it's injury prone. I give that the label.
So let's do a couple grades. We'll start with the quarterback. What do you give the quarterback?
I'll give Jalen Hurts a B+ for this past week. I'll give him a B+. I did see some good things. Like I said, I was impressed with him. He's finally got a wide receiver, like a true number one. And Devontae Smith can still turn into one of them, but now that he's got a true number one, he had a good game. I give him a B+.
So I can give him a B. I'll give him a B just because they won the game. He threw no passing touchdowns. Like, you're in a passing league and you're not throwing touchdowns. That's huge.
A concern. That's huge. That's a concern.
I saw a couple of comparisons on social media, and it's good and bad. Like, he's got so many touchdowns since Cam Newton. most passing yards or most so and so first down since Cam Newton. Most this since Cam Newton. Where's Cam Newton?
Exactly. That's the other thing. Everyone's bringing up. You keep hearing these comparisons to Cam Newton. And
It's not a good comparison. If Cam Newton was still in the league, and he's not blackballed.
Well, one, still in the league. Two, relevant. Just relevant. When Cam Newton was Cam Newton and was good. I mean, he had what, a 4-year stretch where he was Cam Newton.
Yeah, and look how many rushing touchdowns and how many rushing yards he had. Like, those take a hit or those take a toll on you.
Yeah, that's where I was saying earlier. At some point it's going to the running aspect of the game for Jalen Hurts is going to catch up with him, and if it does, when it does, or whenever, if not, is that style good enough to win a Super Bowl? And that's my whole thing. I mean, it's, again, I've yet to see, and no one has seen, a quarterback known primarily for using his legs and running, being a runner, has yet to win a Super Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson are not running quarterbacks.
They are not. They are not.
So, before anybody, a certain, hater of a CW quarterback, they're not running quarterbacks. They run because they have to. They don't run because they do. It's
the guy that came the closest would have been Lamar Jackson. And I said it came the closest, but I mean, going back over history, a guy who was equally as dangerous with his legs as he was with his arm was Steve Young. He was a freak. He was a freak. He was, but like I said, he was equally dangerous. Like, there was no nod, or the scale didn't tip his way in passing or running. He was just all around good. Like, Steve Young was all around. He was an all around complete quarterback.
No, he was. You have to, but he also didn't, again. But it wasn't his first option. Obviously,
no.
he had a really good receiver, I think.
A guy named Jerry Rice.
I think he was good.
I think he was good too.
Terrell Owens.
He did have Terrell Owens for, I think, a season. So it's So I mean, he had guys. He had players. I mean, you got to think about it. Like, he has more career touchdown passes to Jerry Rice than Joe Montana,
which is crazy.
Absolutely crazy, but also awesome at the same time, because I'm a Montana fan.
Right, and you got to think, like, running quarterbacks just. They don't win Super Bowls. Fran Tarkenton, he threw for a lot of yards, but at that time, he ran in his career, he ran for 3,674 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry as a quarterback.
As a QB, yeah.
You went 0-3.
Yep.
It's the nature of the game.
And don't get me wrong. At some point, a guy primarily known for running with the football, like basically known as a running back behind center, it'll happen eventually that somebody's going to win a Super Bowl with that style, but it won't happen again for another 50 years.
Yeah, but while you may be true, and it's very honest, you're very correct, but you got to remember something. These coaches have 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks to prep.
Yep.
So you can do a lot of man coverage. That's 5 guys covering your receivers, and then you have 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. You can run 4 on the inside and the outside, and then you have you have like you said, primarily who the running quarterback is. You usually know what their strong side is. It's either the right or the left, and you would put your safety or your linebacker on the right, and that other linebacker or the other in the middle as a spy. Like, there's a lot of game planning, and it can be done. It's just a matter of getting it done.
Right. Now, also, flipping back to defense on the defensive side of the ball, you brought up how Nakobe Dean really did not see a lot of time. That very well may change now that Derek Barnett.
I was going to get into that.
Yeah, I mean that may change now that Derek Barnett's out for the season because, I mean that hurts the rotation when the D ends, but they can move Reddick to D end if need be, and that could open the door for Nakobe Dean to come in and play. I mean, you're talking Nakobe Dean, Kaiser White, and T.J. Edwards out there all at the same time with Reddick at D end.
So the running backs, I mean, they got to get an A. They had 4 rushing touchdowns. You can't.
Yeah.
Like there's Jalen Hurts is one of them. I mean, I can't go any lower.
Yeah,
I give it a B and be like, why? Well, why? I'll be like, show your work. Like,
yeah. I mean, also considering since Miles Sanders had a nice game and he scored his first touchdown, I believe, since 2020.
2019.
2019. All right,
we were still wearing masks. No, it might have been 20. No, it might have been 20. You might be right. We were wearing masks.
Yes, we were. We absolutely were. He had a good game, and that's what I was looking for out of him because I mean this is a contract year for him. I mean it's kind of a crowded backfield, but if he goes and he stays healthy,
but it's not a crowded backfield. Like
for us it is.
For us it is. I mean, it shouldn't be. Like he had 13 touches, 13 carries. No.
Yeah.
And he broke a 24-yard run, and I think he had another 20-yard run. Like, I don't get it. Feed him the ball. Like, yeah. Zeke, feed me. Feed Miles.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a contract year for him. Just give him the ball and let him do his thing. Like, he's got so much motivation to be excellent this year. I never understood that, why certain guys get the ball, other guys don't get the ball. And I don't want to hear it's a game situation, like who's handling the ball better, who's seeing the field better.
Like in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter, I was like, all right, this is where you have Miles Sanders. He's rested. He didn't play the third quarter. Exactly. He came in for a series and then you took him out.
Yeah.
Why? Why are you taking him out?
Yeah, exactly.
Grow up, Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, you have to give him the ball. You have to let him get his reps in, because let's face it, the off season's not what it used to be anymore, especially with camp and preseason. That's why these teams are now having scrimmages, like having a whole week where they're scrimmaging one team.
Right.
This way they can get kind of game action in. So theoretically, the first week of the season is actually like a preseason game for these guys, considering out there's like 18 weeks. Right. So,
wide receivers.
Look, I mean,
AJ Brown 155 yards.
I mean, look, I'm the simple fact that we had like a wide receiver have an amazing game to start his career as a Philadelphia Eagle. He played great. He looked great. I'm going to. I mean, I give him an A. I give them an A, even though he was like the only wide receiver that did anything. I'll give them an A because you have the options there. We have the weapons there. Like, it was all there. We saw everything, and they just need to execute. You execute, get these guys their touches, their yards. I like them going forward. I love the team going forward, but yeah, everybody.
He had 63 yards after the catch. That's big.
Yeah,
that's big. I mean, you take it away, he had 87 yards, or no? Yeah, 55. He had 92 yards. 92.
Right.
My math was off. But that's still not a bad.
And it's still a good debut. Yeah, it's still a very good debut. So I'm not gonna knock it, but I'll give the wide receivers an A just because we saw an amazing game out of Brown. If we can get him and Devontae Smith going together at the same time, just feeling it, I'm stoked. 100% stoked.
And Dallas Goedert.
Well, Goddard to me is a given. Like that guy
He's a goddamn maniac.
Yeah,
You throw it out in the open flat, and as a corner, you have to make a life-altering decision.
yes.
like he comes running at you. He doesn't stop.
No, he doesn't.
And you got to stand there and be like, this dude's going to run me over. He's going off. He's like, I got kids.
I got kids.
So is there a safety or somebody coming over here? I'll hold them.
That is so funny. That is funny. I got kids. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm looking at the headline now on NFL Network. They're saying Dak Prescott will not go on IR, and they're looking at what's his name, that backup quarterback. Who is he? I forget his name.
Cooper Rush?
Yeah, Cooper Rush is going. They're saying they're going to stay in house. They're not going to make a trade.
Well, some idiotic moronic Dallas fan compared Cooper Rush to Tom Brady. I'll have to
what?
Yeah, it was like, Drew Bledsoe went down with an injury, and Tom Brady stepped right in.
That guy.
Prescott, Dallas fans. Hold on.
That guy.
This is for you, Dallas fans. I'm always gonna laugh at that, and I'm not taking myself off screen because it's gonna be my go-to video for the year.
He's got the Clorox the second time around. He's like, "Come on, come on, let's drink this."
But yeah, Cooper Rush to Tom Brady. I think he meant Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch.
I think that guy ate paint chips and huffed glue. That's what I'm thinking. That's. Because he's obviously got no brain cells.
No. What about the offensive line? I give it a C. Even though they had a lot of yards per carry.
You know what?
They got manhandled way too many times.
Yeah, I'll give them a C-, because that was not what we're accustomed to seeing out of the offensive line. I mean, they're a hell of a lot better than what we saw.
Yeah, and I'll give them I didn't go any lower than a C because I'm going to give them week 1, and they didn't play all season,
right.
all preseason.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but no. I'm going to give them C-, because, like I said, we're not accustomed to seeing that, and they're not accustomed to playing like that. So
now I'm going to go to the most important position, kicker. What do you? Wait, no, this isn't fantasy talk.
No.
So with that, we'll go with the secondary, and let's go with
under pressure. Goff hit as he throws. It was deflected by Kaiser White, and James Bradbury has his first Philadelphia pick, and it's a pick 6.
My man, it's 2022. Get a new Donovan McNabb jersey.
You know what? I can't lie. The only Eagles jersey I have left is my Brian Dawkins.
I have Dawkins. Listen, I got Dawkins. I got Owens. I got McNabb. I got Vic. I got Carson Wentz. I don't think I'm buying any more quarterbacks.
I'm done with jerseys. I got mine. I got them. I'm good. I made my Dawkins jersey is big enough to last me until I'm buried in it, so I'm good.
So with the secondary, Goff was due for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick 6.
Yeah,
I think I'll give him a B. Give him a B-.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say. I mean that secondary played well. I'll give him a B- also. I was happy with that.
The one touchdown I think was to Chark was a ridiculous catch.
Oh, absolutely.
It was ridiculous. So it's not like it was a bad, somebody was out of position. It was just a bad.
That was a professional.
It was a great throw.
That was a professional football player catch right there. But I do find I found it incredibly funny how with that pick six, it was tipped by free agent signing Kaiser White and ran back in by free agent signing James Bradbury. Absolutely loved it. It showed dividends right there on the defense. I mean, considering that Howie Roseman has spent $130 million on defense this offseason. Highest in the league, 130 mil.
Oh, we got to do that.
I mean they pulled their weight right there, but yeah, 130 mil he spent on that defense this year. I love it. I'm sitting there watching a replay of the Pitt and Pittsburgh and the Cincinnati game. That atrocity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, watching the NFL Network. But now I gotta see what else is on.
Oh, so obviously, we have, we got what was the other one we were talking about?
What's that?
What was the other one?
What do you mean?
No, we said the secondary. Oh, what about linebackers?
I didn't have a problem with the linebackers. I'll give them a C plus. I thought they were good, and that's even with that what the play we just saw where Kaiser White tipped the ball and Bradbury wound up getting the interception. I thought T.J. Edwards played good. Hassan Reddick looked like he was gassed by the second quarter. He was not in game shape. He really wasn't. So I mean, for that, I'll give them a C. I'll just be fair and just give them a C.
Yeah, I can deal with that. I can see that. Like they weren't.
Yeah, it
got
was
manhandled. It happens again. Like Rich Johnson said, both lines didn't play together enough. So,
and you know what? I'll give them that.
I'll give them that they won the game. So we'll go with the game win. 38-35 win. All around, B plus for the whole entire team. D minus if Howie Roseman's got anything to do with personnel.
Oh my God, I hope not. I really hope not.
So let's go with a couple minutes before we end. What do we have? What else can we talk about? Obviously, the Giants won, which was bananas.
That was bananas. And let me tell you, man.
Listen, it was more luck than it was skill. I mean, Saquon Barkley finally had a good game.
Yeah, he looks like he's back. Yeah, he looks like he's back. I think you lost you there, buddy. You're all frozen. You're moving. You're moving, Mr. Roboto.
Can you hear me?
I got you. You're back now. You're moving around a lot. You're good.
Yeah, so you still have Daniel Jones as your quarterback. So.
Oh, the water boy. Okay. He's no quarterback. That guy's a mess. They'd be Jesus Christ. Anyway. Yeah, the Giants won. It was they're still a mess, but that was a crazy victory for the Giants. I'll give them credit. They came back, they won. Saquon Barkley just looks like he's back to his old self. So I didn't see their stat line for their wide receivers. I don't know what their wide receivers did for the Giants there, Chris. So I mean, I'm trying to figure out like did Galladay have a
no? Sterling Shepard had a touchdown. Kenny Galladay had 2 catches for 22 yards.
And Kadarius Toney did not play, correct? He was hurt.
No, he played. He had 2 rushes for 23 yards.
2 rushes.
0 catches.
All right. So far they are now one season and one game in, and Kenny Galladay and their first round pick from last year have no touchdowns.
It's awesome.
That's absolutely amazing. But the Giants didn't want Devontae Smith.
Yeah. So you got them winning.
How about the Commanders?
Oh God.
We got to do it. We got to
Can't say their name. I cannot say their name.
We got to talk about Ginger Jesus and the Commanders.
The commies.
The commies.
Like,
I mean,
this is where I go back to the tendencies of quarterbacks. You know what you have with Jalen Hurts and his tendency to run first. You see the tendencies of Carson Wentz and what he does. And he did it this week. And Jalen Hurts did it as well. Now, you know, who knows? Is this the Carson Wentz finally revenge tour? Like, yeah, he's got Terry McLaurin and he's got what's his name, Dotson. Really good.
And the other guy, Samuel, who did not play last year because he was hurt. He's got 3. That's a very talented locker room for the wide receiver core in Washington.
So it's, I know it was the Jaguars, but Trevor Lawrence is still over there, and he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
They spent a gazillion dollars into wide receivers who we know they shouldn't have. Like, they're so overpaid.
I mean, dude, I had to laugh though because I looked at the final stat line for Carson Wentz, and I was like, all right, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He almost started pulling Carson Wentzing himself when he had back-to-back interceptions, like literally back-to-back throws were interceptions, and I thought, oh, here we go. I was like, here we go, but a 4-to-2 ratio, touchdowns to INT, over 300 yards. I think he had like over 330 yards, or he had like 315
Who's
yards.
That?
Wentz.
Oh, he didn't have that many, did he?
He had over 300 yards. I know that.
313 yards. Took 1 sack.
Okay, so they have a good offensive line. So we were talking about this before, man, and everyone was saying, "Oh, Eagles and Dallas," and you and I both said, "Watch."
I said the Giants could surprise people.
You said they could surprise people, and I was like, Washington could too, and because I remember, like, even at work, we were joking around, like, "Oh yeah, they're all going to surprise everybody." I did not expect
Carson Wentz isn't a bad quarterback.
No, his numbers last year weren't bad either.
He's not great.
No.
But he's not as bad as everyone seems.
He's definitely not what we thought he would be here during 2017 before the injury. He's definitely not that, because I think the Eagles just totally screwed him up. There's that famous clip of Doug Peterson talking to a general manager or another coach, and he's like, "Yeah, man, this kid's great. Let's hope we don't mess him up." And
it was John Lynch when they played the 49ers in 2017.
That's right, John Lynch. So it's like, yeah, they messed him up, but okay.
And he had a lot to do with it as well.
He did. He wasn't. He's not innocent of that whole thing. And last year, I don't know what happened with the Colts. I really don't. But hey, if this is.
But look at the Colts. They did the same. Like, they're the same team as last year.
Yep.
Did they really get better by trading for a 34-year-old Matt Ryan? I don't think they took a step up. They definitely didn't go in my opinion, they didn't go in the right direction.
Well, some people are going to sit there and tell you that they probably did because Matt Ryan's older. He's got more experience, former MVP, where you're talking, who were their last 4 quarterbacks? Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. I mean, look at, out of those 4 names, who's the one that's going to get the shit end of the stick? The ginger. And look, he got the shit end of the stick. So he's not a former MVP. You know what I mean? He's not a former, Super Bowl champ. So I mean, it's like, I don't know. Maybe they feel by adding a guy that's a proven winner in an MVP is moving forward, even though he's ancient in football years.
But what has he won?
Well, he's won an MVP. It's more than
So
one
is
person.
Cam Newton.
Okay, but Carson Wentz didn't win anything.
No, I get it. Like this is. I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying, like, if that's their thinking, that's terrible thinking, and we don't know what they're thinking.
They're looking at a resume. They're looking at
that resume doesn't mean shit.
Oh,
Doesn't mean you're here. And here's where this is what I get. This is what I get aggravated at. It's like we can't bash Jalen Hurts, and I'm throwing this out there, and I know it's absolutely ridiculous, and I know it's asinine. I watched Jalen Hurts Sunday afternoon not be able to read a blitz. Then I watched Tom Brady, 29th year in the league, I think, like turn around, saw the coverage, and called a one-on-one with Mike Evans.
Yep.
I don't see that in Jalen Hurts.
No.
Like by the third year, you have to learn how to read a defense.
Yeah, he's like we said earlier. He's same things. He's the same quarterback as last year in my eyes, only now with a true number one wide receiver.
And I hope I'm wrong. Again, guys, listen. I've said it before. Like, I'm not jumping the gun. Eric's not jumping the gun. But the tendencies are there. We saw it with Carson Wentz. Now you're seeing it with Jalen Hurts. Get on the word. You're allowed to be mad at the guy. Not be mad at them. You're allowed to sit there and say what he did wrong.
Well, you're
people I don't care. He can be a locker room leader all you want. If they're 1-16, I don't want him as my goddamn quarterback.
Well, you can guarantee he wouldn't be at that point. But no, I mean, yeah, he's got the intangibles. He says the right things. He's got the great work ethic. Yada 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 yada. I get it. But like I said, he's the same guy just now with a number one wide receiver, and that's the fairest assessment you can get. I think he is what he is, and I'm afraid what he is going to be a smokescreen. I'm afraid they're going to give this guy a ton of money.
Dear God.
And we're never going to see anything out of it. I mean, I had talks with friends of mine who were like, well, if he could be anything Michael Vick, I'm like, but what has Michael Vick won? Has Michael Vick won a Super Bowl? I was like, it's great to be a highlight reel. It's great to have those instincts. But bottom line is, if you're not a quarterback, like a true quarterback, and Ron Jaworski said it himself in the postgame show, Eagles legend Ron Jaworski, former Eagles quarterback, said the same thing. Like, I was watching that. I think I sent you that clip and said, save this. Mm-hmm. If you had it on here, I was hoping to God you'd play it. But he wants him, like, stay in the pocket, take those hits, look for the open receiver. You have to be a quarterback. You have to take those hits. I think in today's NFL, a lot of the younger quarterbacks are now turning prima donna like the prima donna wide receivers. The game is changing. They're changing. The position's changing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Again, we want the guy to succeed.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I think we'll see what happens. They're 1-0 in the division. The entire division won, except Dallas. Dallas looked bad.
Even before Prescott got hurt, they looked terrible. They really did. There's a lot of people saying, who was it? I think it was Spears said that, they got better by subtraction. That in the NFL, that doesn't work. That kind of mindset doesn't work. It never will. You don't get better by subtraction. You lose Amari Cooper. You're still without Michael Gallup, who, he's a good wide receiver when he's healthy, but he's not healthy. Okay, you've all this money to Zeke Elliott, who is clearly declining. I mean, just rapidly declining in front of all their faces. The offensive line isn't that awesome. They're good, but they're not that awesome.
No.
And they paid Dak Prescott all this money, and he's still yet to prove that he could put the team on his back and win. Win when it counts. Win in the playoffs when it counts.
And here's the clip you're talking about.
I would like to see Jalen run when he has to run. Stay in that pocket, go through his reads, read the coverage against blitzes, get the ball out of his hands. I thought there were too many times that he just took off and ran when he perceived that pressure. As he goes on, again, I want to be critical of some things, but some things he was phenomenal about because my criticism is how does he get better going down the road? How does he become a precision quarterback, drop back, throw the football on time with the wide receivers?
He's right. He's absolutely right. And I didn't want you to play that to bash the guy. It's a legit, honest criticism. And it's truth that the Jalen Hurts fans don't want to hear. They just say, oh, it's Jalen Hurts. He's going to be great. Oh, my God, look, he threw a ball. Oh, my, look at this. He ran for 12 yards. Well, that doesn't make him a good quarterback. No. And I want him to be a good quarterback. So, again, I'm going to be critical of him when needs to be. But, again, I saw some good things out of him. He did have some nice plays. But he still has those glaring holes when it comes to reading a defense. And like you brought up how Brady can see a defense, see what's coming, and call a blitz. I mean, call an audible. Hurts doesn't do that. He just doesn't do it.
He sees it and just was like, all right, well.
Well, right. He also looks at.
He looks around.
Yeah, well, he sees the defense, but he looks at people instead of. How am I trying to say it? It's like he doesn't sense them. He looks for them. He doesn't sense it. When you're in that pocket, you have to sense where the linemen are. He looks for them so he can run. That's an issue.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess that's it. Was one that on that. You check your schedule. See, maybe we'll come back on a Thursday, like 7:00, before the Thursday night game.
Yeah, what do I got going on? I'm trying to think, because I'm busy tomorrow night. But yeah, maybe we can go on Thursday night. But it was good to be back on. Week 1 of the NFL season's in the books. The entire NFC is 1-0 minus the Cowboys with their 0-1. Somewhere Stephen A is loving life.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not on Thursday, we'll definitely come on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'll definitely do Sunday morning because I don't do that Jesus stuff.
All right, and with that, I'm going to, since I didn't use it as our intro, I'm going to use it as our outro.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you for joining us.
Nope, going back the other way.
What? Are you going backwards?
Nope, going back the other way.
What? Are you going backwards? Just score.
I'm going to run out the quarter.
I'm not playing now. My controller's down.
Seems like your controller's been down the whole time.
Who's Varys? You gotta switch off Varys. Get it to Ronnie Lott. Pretty much anyone but Varys.
Oh, no, I'm all the way back here now. I'm in my own end zone. What am I doing? Too bad I'm not Bo Jackson. Oh, wait, I am.
Ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. There you go, Quagmire. You're about to tackle me. But then...
Damn it!
Less than a minute.
Shut up, Joe!
He's gonna do it. He might do this.
I don't know. A lot of football still to be played here.
I'm hitting reset.
Don't you dare hit reset. You hit reset, you're banned for life.
I hate this. Joe, do you want to play?
I like being this guy.
A zig. A zag. A touchdown. Yeah!